Hello, everyone. So, we just got some exciting news, depending on how you feel about it, about the metaverse. So, I'm going to be talking about, Facebook changing and what they're looking at. And I'll be sharing my perspective as a marketer, like where I think this is going, how it can help businesses, but how it can affect all of us as well. So, I'm going to be sharing my thoughts today. So, also, I want to let you know as well that you are invited to join the conversation with me live. I will have somebody planning to join me live a little bit later, but I just wanted to share my thoughts about like what I think about this. And first, I'm going to talk about what it is because I do realize that some people have no idea what the metaverse is. So, I'm just going to try to break it down in the most simplest terms. Okay. So, first thing being is Meta is basically the new corporate company that Mark Zuckerberg has branded, Facebook and all of the other apps that he owns. And so they're calling it Meta now. And this is really to talk about launching social media into an interactive experience where people are able to feel like they are physically in a space with someone experiencing the same thing. So, you know how, like, you might be on social media and you might be looking at, we'll say, the Stellar Awards, for example. That's a gospel. Um, Pretty much show, I kind of want to say, like where they like sing and stuff like that, like all gospel songs. And so rather than you watching it from home, you can actually feel like you're watching it in person, right? So, that's definitely a different experience than just seeing it on the screen or seeing that your friend did something. Like, also, like maybe you might have someone in your family that is into sports and they might be at a game, and maybe someone in your family can't physically be there, but if they were to use this new thing called the metaverse, they could actually feel like they are there. So it's kind of like a merging of games, like, those of us that might be addicted to phone games or video games or whatever. It's a merge of that with reality. So it's like virtual reality, a 3D experience. Like if you've ever been to a movie theater and you watched a movie in 3D, it felt like you are there. So that's the direction that they're trying to go into with this metaverse thing, which I think can be pretty intriguing. But I also have concerns about it as well. So I'm going to get into both of them. So just give me a second. I just want to make sure that people can join the conversation. So I do want to share this video. Also, if you would like to share it as well, can join the conversation. So I do. Sorry. Okay. All right. Also, I want to let you all know as well, Mark Zuckerberg did kind of like an hour presentation on this, so I'm probably going to show some of it while I'm doing this. So you can actually like understand the inner workings of it. I'm not going to get into the technology aspect like too much because I don't want to like lose people. So I'll definitely just be talking about the long term effects because I do understand that some people are worried about this, and for good reason, because it's definitely a new direction. Um, so, yeah, I definitely understand that. So, let me just see if I can share my screen. And I'm going to play some of it.
and welcome to Connect. Today, we're going to talk about the metaverse. I want to share what we imagine is possible, the experiences you'll have, the creative economy we'll all build, and the technology that needs to be invented, as well as how we're going to all do this together. The basic story of technology in our lifetimes is how it's given us the power to express ourselves and experience the world with ever greater richness. Back when I started Facebook, that mostly meant text that we typed on computers. Then we all got phones with cameras, and the internet became much more visual. And recently, as connections got faster, video has become the main way that we experience content. We've gone from desktop to web to phones, from text to photos to video, but this isn't the end of the line. The next platform and medium will be even more immersive, an embodied internet where you're in the experience, not just looking at it. And we call this the metaverse. And you're going to be able to do almost anything you can imagine. Get together with friends and family, work, learn, play, shop, create, as well as entirely new categories that don't really fit how we think about computers or phones today. Now, since we're doing this remotely today, I figured let's make this special. So we've put together something that I think is really going to give you a feeling for what this future could be like. We believe the metaverse will be the successor to the mobile internet. We'll be able to feel present, like we're right there with people, no matter how far apart we actually are. We'll be able to express ourselves in new, joyful, completely immersive ways. And that's going to unlock a lot of amazing new experiences.
So I'm gonna stop it right there, and I'm gonna try to fast forward to like the part um that is supposed to look like immersive. That's like their main goal is to pretty much put people into this like experience to try to like kind of get away, but still be able to share experiences with each other. So I think that part is a little bit interesting to me, like just being able to connect with others on a deeper level, which can be good for entrepreneurship. Okay, this doesn't really apply to businesses, so I'm gonna go here. Okay, yeah, I like this part. And I'm trying to see if there's a way I can turn this down. Yeah, I'm gonna mute it just so you can kind of see it. But essentially, like this, for example, with like health science, like they're looking at like how can experts from all around the world pretty much collaborate and talk about these different things, or even try to give insight or try to work on people remotely, right? Like who has ever heard of that? Like most people are just like, we're used to just having doctors like work on us like physically in a place, but like what if somebody was able to help you remotely? So I think that part is definitely intriguing. So that's just a little glance at what the direction that they're trying to go in. So like if we're thinking about businesses and entrepreneurship, like people will be able to do masterminds together and feel like they're physically in person. One of the concerns that I had was like, well, if this is going to replace our world, if that's what they're trying to do, if they're trying to replace our world, like what is how are we going to buy and sell? How is that going to affect the economy? And so also in the presentation, Mark Zuckerberg talked about basically how you'll be able to buy and sell like digital clothing or whatever products and services. So just like when we're on Facebook and we can see that, we're buying like we get ads for different things. We'll be like, oh, I really like that shirt. I'm going to buy it. Or I like this seasoning. So I'm going to buy that. So it's going to be kind of like that, but it's like you're there in person. So if you ever have played a mobile game or a video game before, you dress up your avatar and you go about your life. But this, it'll actually be different because it's like real life and like you're doing things. So if you want to work out with people, you can work out with them in person, or you can have an instructor help you in person. So I don't know what that's going to look like for the inner workings of that. But again, this is in the idea phase. And so this is why it's important that we're talking about this now, because like he said it in the video, it's going to be, really heavy on the collaboration. And so if we ever, want to get an inkling or kind of get our thoughts and perspectives out to the people that's creating this, That way they'll be able to make the best version for all of us. But if they don't get any insight or perspective from anyone, they're going to go off of what they think is right, or what their experts think it is. So I think everybody needs to like collaborate and talk about it. So that's just kind of my thoughts on that. Now, with the flip side on the concerns that I have is kind of like, you know, a lot of us are already addicted to our cell phones, right? Like, I have my phone here. We're always on it and stuff like that. So my thing is like, will anybody really be able to enjoy real life, or are they going to just, put on their virtual reality glasses and just live life like that? I think that can get to be kind of boring. Like, I think I would want both, like, the virtual reality experience, like if I can't make it, for example, somewhere. But then, I also want to be able to, feel the breeze and just look at the beauty that God created for us, right? So that's how I feel about that. I feel like some people will just not want to leave the virtual reality aspect of that. And so that part kind of concerns me as well. Um because nature is beautiful. So, I would hope that there would be like some sort of guidelines, like, hey, maybe I might spend just an hour in VR, and then I'm gonna go live my life. But I see the potential for people to become lazy with this, and just they'd be like, yeah, I don't want to go out for your birthday. I don't want to go to church even, because like we have it live, so it's like I'm here. And I think that could be really discouraging, and also discontent, because you need to be in person. There still needs to be face-to-face interaction, in-person interaction. I think they may just be trying to replace that, and that might work for some people, but it's not going to work for the majority of us that really value real in-person connection. So that's how I feel about that. I think there needs to be some limitations on how often we're using this thing. Not only that, some people had some questions about, like, security. I had questions about that. And they were thinking about using authentication, because we use that now for our apps. When we log into things, we need to prove who we are. And so they were saying, like, maybe they might have to use authentication to make sure nobody steals our avatar, right? Like, because I was watching the video and there was this man on there, and he was saying he was pretty much a pre-recorded version of him, and it seemed like he was talking to us live, but he wasn't. It was already pre-recorded. And so it looked really realistic, like he was actually there. So we definitely will need some sort of security measure to ensure that nobody steals our avatar. We need to be able to be ourselves, basically. So that's a concern I have. Another concern I have is about, all the hate speech that is out there, right? So, a lot of us, we all, pretty much, depending on where you live, you have the right to speak your mind. You have the right to argue things and contest things. But my worry is, you know, me personally, I just don't think it's a place for people for racism, right? That's just one of the things, racism. And how some people, have said, really, they made, for crying out loud, they've made Facebook groups based off of hating a particular type of person. So it's like, I wouldn't want those people being able to use this metaverse, right? I think it takes a certain caliber of someone, like, based on their character. If it's different if you are attacking ideals or you disagree with certain things, but if you're attacking somebody's character, who they are, their skin color, you don't deserve to even be on social media. You don't deserve to have access to that. And so I would definitely be worried about seeing those kinds of people um in the metaverse, and seeing them roam free and just talk about people, because sometimes we tend to think about, oh, just it's just black oppression. But there are some people out there that literally come at white people, and they come at all different kinds of races, like, yeah, white women do this, and and it's so toxic. I mean, it's like, I understand maybe you had painful experiences that caused you to not like them in general, or poke at their weaknesses. But I think at a certain point in time, you have to do some inner healing, and you need to be able to move past that, focus on your life, focus on being a good person yourself. And when you're putting down different races, that doesn't make you any better. And but people don't want to talk about that, right? So it's like I think that the metaverse can be a really good force. Well, I should say a force of good, really good. But at the same time, if it's not checked, if it's not, you know, balanced out, it could really get out of hand. And so thankfully it's in the idea stages, but this is a hint that I tell my social media clients all the time. I'm like, you need to be able to start trying to use new features, being a part of the conversation, talking about what it is, what are your concerns, like what solutions do you have to these challenges that we've talked about, and how can we change it. It's not to say every time that you speak your mind you're going to get what you want, but if there is more conversation about it, there is a potential for things to get better and even come into your favor, but you have to be early. Okay. I'm talking about this topic now because it's in the idea stages. You need to be prepared for it. We are in such a culture where it's so easy for us just to react to things. We're not being proactive in a lot of cases. We're just kind of like, yeah, I'll get to it. Oh, I'll worry about that bridge when I cross it. And the bridge is breaking, it's falling because no one's doing that inner work to prepare. So, those are my thoughts. Now, I would like to bring on some people. So, if you're watching live now and you want to share your perspective, I'm going to post this comment. Would you use the metaverse, and why or why not? I would like to invite some people to start coming on now. Um, so if you can just put in this comment section, like if you want to come on live with me and talk to me about it, I will send you the link to come into the room. Okay, so gonna wait a couple of minutes to see if anybody wants to share their thoughts, or if I'm gonna see also as well if anybody's leaving any messages like on actual YouTube. Like other questions like what kinds of checks and balances are going to be for kids, because if it's already overwhelming for adults, it's going to be overwhelming for kids themselves. Like I would imagine that there would be some sort of kids version of the metaverse, or certain areas that they can't go in, um, just to keep them safe and keep them protective. But, something that really intrigued me was also interactive learning experiences. And that's something that's already out right now where you can do virtual tours of different museums, different remarkable places. That would make me really happy because I love, like I said, I love experiencing the world and seeing what, it feels like, what's the breeze, what's the culture like. And they did also bring up in the video that there might be some potential like for you to go back in time even and just see how people live there and just kind of feel it. I mean of course, they probably have to go based off of diaries or older people keeping record of their experiences there to try to kind of formulate that experience again. But yeah, like they would pretty much build it based off of that. And people can always add as well, like just going to different landmarks and stuff like that, like across the country that you may not be able to hop on a plane all the time and go to. So I'm wondering if it's like a case where you save money and you just kind of tour the world or whatever, or if it's a situation where you still would have to pay for that type of experience. I don't know how they're going to do this, but these are just some of the thoughts that I'm having after watching that video. um it's definitely interesting, I would say. Like you can make like your own section. You can invite people over as well. Yeah. Okay, well, I don't see anybody on here. Let me just look. And also, if you are in my social media program, I will be going live, Lord willing, just to talk about like how you could strategically use the metaverse like to your advantage. So if you are interested in hearing that chat and that call, be sure to sign up for Social Media Confidential as well. Okay, I'm not seeing any comments up here. Okay. So yeah, that's pretty much it. If you have any questions that you want to talk about, I don't have all the answers, obviously, because I'm not Meta, but that's just my standpoint as a social media marketer, just being able to spread ideas a little bit more, just being able to um, really see if you could connect with a lot more people and just having more experiences like showing people things that they may not understand at first. I think that is something that's going to be very prevalent. And another thing I wanted to add as well is that you see, as we are going on in the social media realm, there's this inner drive to be the forefront of this kind of technology. There is this drive to make better technology for people to be able to have more experiences together. This is really at the forefront. And this is what it comes to, even when you're trying to grow your own business, is that you really need to hone down on connection and, finding people where they are, meeting them where they are, and helping them get to that next step. So there's always this inner drive like to just be better. And sometimes people get kind of what's the word, they get discouraged, or they feel like they can't keep up with social media. And I try to say, like, don't want to keep up with social media. You just want to be able to keep up with connecting with your people specifically. Don't worry about the whole social media, all 100 different social media apps. They're going to be out there. You need to be driving your own initiative and utilizing social media features in order to connect with your people. That's all it is, really. Social media down to its component, its basic, its core is talking to people, is hearing them, listening to them. What do they have to say? How can you solve their problems? How can you add value to the space? That's what really is the core. And being able to market your ideals, your messaging, you're being able to, you know, really help people attract like attract each other, pretty much attract them to you. So it's like, if you know that that is, what you're doing, and you're able to really make change in the world. So I do have some comments here. Elijah says that he would use the metaverse. I'm going to put up his other comment. He says, but I think access to it should be initially very restricted. Yes, I definitely agree with that point, because, it's a new world to all of us. And, we really need to be able to kind of ease into it, not get everything at once, because you can be so overwhelmed by it that it just kind of sucks your soul. And so that's another concern that I would have, that was pretty much related to the concern that I had earlier, is just, people being so engulfed in it that they don't make the time like to get out of it, or they don't set aside time to really be with their family because everybody's in the virtual reality, right? So, I really hope that people don't look at this to replace, face-to-face interaction all the time. I hope that people will enjoy a variety, a mixture of it. And so, that's what I would say about that. Okay, so Sheridan says, so is Metaverse like that movie Ready Player One? Probably. And Elijah says that he was thinking of that movie. It probably will be. Yep. All right. So thank you all for joining today, and I will see you in another video. Elijah also says, I hope so too, Mo. Humanity should learn from its mistakes. Definitely. Definitely, I think, repairing as we go along, that will help people to grow better rather than just leaving a lot of things undone.